So today I thought I'd come out on my wife's 125. That's Honda's CBF125. 3 reasons, I guess. One, it's not been run for a while. She's not been on it for a bit, so I thought I'd go and give it a little ride out. 2, the weather's pretty miserable. It's been raining earlier. The roads aren't wet, they're just ever so slightly greasy. And 3, last time I went out on my bike, I exercised a real lack in self-control. And I think I'm in the same frame of mind today. So, get on something slower and have a tootle around. It's been a little while since I've been on a 125. I've got a CBR600F. And the first thing I thought I'd sort of say is really the things that you instantly feel different. One, as you just saw, the brakes are just a little bit softer. They're not supposed to be slowing you down from great speeds. The instant thing that I notice is seating position, riding position. Here I'm sat pretty upright, and I must say it's very comfortable. But just a little bit strange. Just needs a little bit of getting used to. Obviously, straight up bars, flat bars. I'm sat as far back as I can, and I'm touching sort of the base of the pillion seat. When you start it up and when you're sitting on it, you haven't got that sort of let's go noise. And it's very, very light. She's almost a little bit disconcerting. But I do love these little machines. Now this particular bike, she's done 1800, nearly 1900 miles on it. She's dropped it twice, both times hilarious. I'm afraid to say I didn't help her, I just burst out laughing. The first time was when we just went and picked them up. We picked up 2. I've obviously done my direct access quicker than she has, and gone and got myself a so-called proper bike. Picked them up from the dealership. Fancy sticking the baby out in front of yourself, eh? Picked up 2 of them, took it to a local industrial estate near the dealership just to make sure that we weren't hitting the road all wobbly. And pretty much straight away she hit the deck. Another time we've gone out together, gone for a carvery. The car park was on a bit of a slope, and the car park was on a little bit of a slope, and she basically struggled to turn it around and kind of landed in a heap with the bike on top of her, right in front of the windows to the restaurant. And I was laughing too hard to help her. She handles this thing like it's bloody heavy. It isn't. It's very light. I remember from when riding mine, it just feels a little bit unstable. Thank you. At higher speeds, and I had absolutely no confidence with it in the wet. As soon as it was raining, it just didn't feel very planted on my bike. Much heavier, much bigger bike, obviously. Just feels absolutely planted to the road, so a lot more confidence when the weather's rubbish. must say. This is it's quite pleasant. The bike itself, in terms of, you know, how fit it is for purpose, in terms of my opinion on how good this bike is for what it is, I think these are superb. Supposed to be very reliable. Obviously they get chat a bit harder than anything else in relative terms because they're slower, and they do get a good kicking. It does over 120 miles to the gallon. You stick £7 in and you forget you need to put petrol in it, to be quite frank with you. 120 miles to the gallon plus is pretty stonking. So it's very light, it's very quiet, it's quite upright. And now I'm happy with the position of the mirrors. They're a little bit ugly, and they're a little bit close, if you like. I'd rather they were sort of sitting a bit further back. They are where they are. This one's, we put a top box on it. Very, very practical. Can't get a top box on mine, unfortunately. We've ridden it pillion with wife on the back, me riding it, and that was quite a pleasant experience. Very high up the pillion seat, which means that, you know, if you're sitting on the back and you're not used to riding pillion, it's a little bit scary, I guess. Insurance is pretty cheap. Yeah, they just cost buttons to run, and they have a good resale value, so they hold on to a lot of their value. They're cracking little motors. If I had a job where I worked in sort of same city or town that I'm commuting from, then I'd certainly have something like this. I wouldn't mess about with a bigger bike. They're just absolutely perfect. Good sort of commuter bikes, everyday bikes for getting to and from work. Now, it does do motorway speeds, and obviously you can go on dual carriageways, motorways. Only sort of problem is, you know, it's not as stable on a dual carriageway or a motorway at them sort of speeds. It just isn't. You'll pretty consistently do 65. The odd incline will take you down to 60, and you can quite often be sort of touching about 70. Obviously with the wind in the right direction and with a decline, you'll touch a slightly bigger speed, but I'd say it do 65 all day long. Yeah, it's quite basic, it's not got many toys. Even bikes that I've got toys, I haven't got that many. Full beam, indicator, horn, all in sensible places, electric start. Never had any issues with it. I was a bit lazy the other day and I sort of dragged it from its side stand to get some room to get at my bike, and I pulled the tyre off the rim, which is a bit stupid. I didn't break anything. I will do some bigger speeds just to sort of show you. I'll give you a good gauge of hopefully what it feels like, and just show you really sort of how it accelerates as well. So obviously to now I've been tootling about on it. It's not been run for a while and it was cold, so we'll give it a bit of a beating and see what you think. I often find when I get a bit of arse ache that I sort of sit up on the pillion seat. I can't help it. It just feels right sometimes. This bike's nearly a year old. It's showing signs of a bit of corrosion, which is a bit disappointing. If you can see, but a couple of the bolts they've gone a little bit rusty, a bit off colour. This bike's not had a lot of TLC. It's not been poorly treated, but it's certainly not had any TLC. It had its 600 or 800 mile service with Honda. I think she's cleaned it once. There is a bit of rust showing on a couple of components in and around the engine, and the the exhaust hasn't weathered too greatly. You can see this sort of stuff just looks a little bit rough. In terms of getting my feet on the ground, both feet here are sitting squarely on the floor. What am I, 5'10", and I couldn't find this, to be honest, any less unintimidating. I believe the lights run straight off the alternator, which means that if you go around about in the dark quite a bit, they're a bit naff. Full beams are okay. They do the job, obviously. But yeah, nothing to write home about, and not naff enough for me to say they're dangerous. With the cost of the insurance, the fuel, and the bike itself, bear in mind they've got cracking resale values. I assume this is better than public transport in terms of economy. We'll just nip in front of this car and see how quickly we can get away at the lights. No one wants to feel like they're holding people up at the lights. Bit jerky, but you get to sort of, that was me that was jerky, by the way. Second gear, 30 mile an hour. It's quite happy to rev up. So third gear, 30, 40. Not bad. I said before, it was going to feel a little bit wobbly beyond that. Obviously, pickup here is not too bad. These guys are accelerating. This is pretty much full revs. The bike doesn't feel unhappy. Here's a good example of getting up to 50 mile an hour. It's not quite. Oh, I've done them all at the lights, check that out. There's a few gears to get through. Starting to get a bit of vibration through the pegs. Now that is the motor. I'm in 6th gear now. 50 mile an hour, 6,500 RPM. Out of 9. 4th gear, 30 mile an hour, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000. I'm keeping up with traffic. Noisy van. This fella has got a slightly flat tyre. Got a little bit of a rattle or a vibration coming from somewhere. I'm sure we'll be able to stop it. It wasn't there. I think it won't be the keys. It certainly is. Yeah, so in a nutshell, I love this little bike. Serves the purpose, does the job.